Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be trying out some new makeup today. I just picked up the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wands. I have a contour, a blush, and a highlighter. I'm very curious about these. It seems like there's so many companies that have been coming out with these kind of Charlotte Tilbury knockoffs or dupes. So we're going to test them out together today. I also have a new eyeshadow palette from Juvia's place that we will be testing out, the new coffee shop palette. I'm excited to try that one as well. So we're going to rip into these, but before we do, a special welcome to my new visitors here. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy this video. Please be sure to subscribe and make sure notifications are turned on. And with that, let's get right into the products. Okay, so I have the rest of my makeup on, my foundation, concealer, my brows are done, I have my lips done, but that's pretty much all I have on right now. I will link everything down below in case you guys are curious. So I want to have a look at these first. So I picked these up from Ulta. They are $9 a piece. I ended up going with the contour in Fair to Light. I hope this is going to work for me. I was back and forth between going with this, the lightest shade, and then the next one down. Hard to tell from the packaging. I hope it's not too light or too ashy. I also got a blush. This one here is in Berry Radiant. We're gonna open these in a minute and we'll swatch them. And then I got a highlighter in Rose Quartz. I wanted the champagne one, but it was out of stock. Hopefully this one is not too pink toned for me. So let's just jump right in and give these a try. Let's start off with the contour. I'll insert a little close-up right here so you guys can see what this looks like up close. Now, since I mentioned that this seems to be an attempted knockoff of like the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, but one thing I'm noticing right off the bat is that it is significantly smaller. So the Charlotte Tilbury one has 0.41 fluid ounces, whereas the e.l.f. one has 0.33 fluid ounces. That's actually not that terrible. I mean, the package size is smaller, but for how much smaller it looks, there's not that much less product. So here's a closer look at the little applicator. One thing I'm noticing is this doesn't seem to have like a twist to close feature. That's not a huge deal to me, but it's likely gonna make this more of a messy product than the Charlotte Tilbury one. But honestly, these are kind of messy products to work with in general. So here's a quick little swatch of it. Okay, it is very, very, very cool toned. This is maybe gonna be a little bit ashy on me. It almost looks like gray in tone. I typically don't like shades quite like this because I like something that's kind of a mixture of something slightly sculpting but also warming at the same time without being too orange. This seems like it's not warm at all. So not sure how that's gonna work. Let's go ahead and give it a try. I'm just gonna apply this like I typically do with these products, which I usually will just kind of draw or dot them on and then blend them out as I go. Okay, yeah, guys, this is very, very gray. There is like no brown in this whatsoever. See how it blends out? Okay, it blends out nicely though. Definitely blended out a lot better than I was thinking that it might. I don't know. Interesting. I'm very fascinated by this because I put it on, it almost looks like it has blue in it, but then I blend it out and I almost think it has like a very subtly, does it have a, I don't know if I'd say it's warming, but it's not as like blue as I was thinking it might be. Oh, so bizarre. When I first swiped this on, it is literally, do you guys see this? I mean, it looks like blue. It's like the same color as like the gray in my sweatshirt. Maybe more blue toned, but it seems to blend out okay. So it's Friday evening as I am filming this. It is a cold, dark Friday evening, very rainy and drizzly outside. My lighting in here is 100% artificial, which is never my best lighting situation. So in general, things are probably not gonna look their best tonight, but we're just gonna make do the best we can. A little bit more up here on my temple. I don't know what to think. I don't dislike this. I just, because of that initial swatch, it makes me wish I would have got the second shade because I generally like something more warming. It does blend out really nicely. It doesn't seem overly pigmented. When I was swatching it, it did look almost a little bit dark, I would think, for someone with really fair skin, but it's definitely not showing up really strongly. So if you do have very fair skin and you don't like anything warm, this might not be a bad option for you. I'm not sure I love the color of it. I don't think I like this one so far. Again, this is my very first impression. Sometimes these things take me a little while to get to know, but I'm not sure I like it quite as much as my Milani one or my Charlotte Tilbury one. Let's move on to the blush next. I went with Berry Radiant. Here's a little close-up of this one for you guys. I was back and forth between these shades. Now these do look on the shimmery side, at least they did in the swatches. Let's give this one a little swatch on the back of my hand. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of shimmer in this. Okay, that is very pigmented. It is a berry shade, but it almost has like a gold sheen to it. So it's not like a purpley mauvey berry. It's more of like a warm. So typically with a liquid blush, I actually like to apply these with a brush rather than a sponge. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm just gonna take a little dollop on the back of my hand, press it into my brush, and just start lightly tapping it on. I hope that this is not too pigmented. Ooh. Have you guys tried out the new Charlotte Tilbury ones, the matte blush wands? I've heard good things about them. I'm always really late to the party with Charlotte Tilbury makeup. I'm so hesitant to push the buy button with her price tag, even though most of her stuff that I have tried out, I've ended up really enjoying. Oh, it's just so pricey. I feel like it's always a risk. But that said, I also make some really stupid buying decisions because I'm enticed by cheaper makeup and I end up spending more money trying out cheap makeup that doesn't end up working out for me. So it's kind of a tricky thing. Hey, I really like that. That's actually going on really nicely. It blended really nicely. It's not overly shiny or shimmery, which is crazy because this swatch is seriously like almost metallic, but it doesn't look like that on my cheeks. I think the color is really nice. It's kind of a different color than I'm used to. Let's have a look at the highlighter next. Now, when it comes to highlighters in packaging like this, I don't usually love them. I don't know why. I don't think they're bad. I have one from Flower Beauty that works really well. I like it. I just don't reach for products like this very often when it comes to highlighter. Highlighter is one of the few things that I most of the time prefer just in traditional powder form. But let's have a look at this one anyway. So here's a close-up of the packaging so you guys can see what it looks like up close. And again, this one was in the shade Rose Quartz. They did have a champagne that was a little bit lighter than this one, but this looks like a pretty good shade. Now, if you have extremely fair skin, this might be a little bit dark on you. I think it will probably work for me. Might be borderline dark on me, but we'll kind of have to wait and see. Okay, so this one I'm also going to apply just with the back end of my sponge. I'm gonna take a little dollop on my hand. I'm just gonna tap it into my sponge and then start right here on just this outer corner of my cheekbone and then slowly tap in. Okay, that's really pretty, actually. The shimmer is really refined. It's very, very pretty, and the color is really nice. I was worried this color might be a little bit on the deep side for me, but I don't think it is. That actually works pretty well for my skin tone. So a little bit more on this side. Let's take a little bit of what's left just down the center of my nose. There we have it, guys. Cheeks look pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with, I particularly like the highlighter. I think that's my favorite so far. I do like the blush. The shade is not like a blush shade that I reach for regularly. I usually go with something solidly peach or solidly pink. This is an interesting shade. It kind of feels more like a fall shade to me. It's a little bit more rusty, a little bit more almost bronzy in tone, but I do think it's really pretty. The contour, I don't know, you guys. I honestly don't know my thoughts on this contour yet. It surprisingly looks okay on my skin, but when I put it on, I can't get over how blue and gray toned it looks when I'm first applying it. But that said, I don't think that it looks bad right now. So I'm gonna need some more time with the contour shade. I obviously will need some more time with all of these products. Unfortunately, I'm hoping to put this video up first thing in the morning, so I won't have had much time playing with these yet, but I will definitely keep you guys posted on how these are working for me as we go on throughout the next couple weeks. I'll keep playing with them. Now let's jump over to the Juvia's Place palette. Let's tear into this thing. This box was much bigger than I was thinking. It's been a while since I bought like a full-sized, a larger sized Juvia's Place palette. The last bigger palette that I tried out from them was the Nubian Earth, and I didn't love that palette that much. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't my favorite bronzier toned palette, and when I was looking at reviews of some of their most recent palettes, that one actually had really good reviews. So it kind of made me question myself. I did declutter that palette recently. It kind of made me wonder, should I not have decluttered it? Why did I not like it? Is there something about me that I just like don't know? That's okay. We're gonna look at this one today. So here is a quick little peek of the palette. The packaging, always love Juvia's Place packaging. Here's the inside, lots of very rich tones, some pretty shimmers. I love that you get this like lighter shimmer hair. They look deep to me, like not just the mattes, but also the shimmers, but sometimes you can't really tell, especially with shimmers. Sometimes they go on a little bit more bright or light than they look inside the pan. I will insert a close-up of the palette of the swatches on my arm so you guys can get a closer look at this color story. What do you guys think of this one? I know it's been out for a little while. I honestly don't know why. Actually, I do know why. So here's my reasoning, you guys. The reason I ended up putting this in my cart, I did have a coupon for, I think, $10 off an order of $50 or more. I also hadn't quite made it to free shipping with just the glow ones. So I was like, well, I gotta buy one more thing. What new eyeshadow palettes are out there? And then this ended up in my cart. So we're gonna try this out. Let me zoom you guys in just a little bit and we will get started. Okay, so just for like a quick frame of reference, I mentioned these shades look kind of on the dark side, but as I dip into this shimmer right here, which I think is the lightest shimmer in this palette, it's pretty light. I mean, that's a pretty light, it's kind of a silvery champagne. It's actually a really pretty color. Let's have a look at this kind of cooler tone bronze down here. Sorry, I know you guys did already see the swatches of this palette, but I am swatching these live for the first time. So that is a pretty bronze, not too brassy. This shimmer down here in the corner, it's a little bit more on the sheer side. This is the kind of formula that they had a couple formulas like this in the Nubia and Earth palette that I didn't love quite so much, but that is a really cool color. It has a bit of a duochrome effect to it. It's like a pewtery bronze. After just complaining about this formula, I'm thinking I might want to use this color today because it's really interesting. Let's just take one more peek at this shimmer right here. I just want to see what these shimmers are like. And then this one right here. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, that's pretty. Kind of reminds me of this one, but a little bit darker, a little bit more almost purple or taupey. And then here is the copper shimmer. Pretty formula so far. These all feel really nice. Really leaning towards this one right here. We'll definitely probably be using the lighter champagne, and then we'll just use some of these mattes. So let's just get going. Let me wipe off my Persona brush. We're gonna use this thing today. Let's start off, let's start off in this shade right here in this top corner. It has almost like a red or pinky sort of undertone to it. Looks kind of interesting. I am going to use some cooler tones in the outer corner and also with the shimmer, so I want something warm through my crease. I kind of like to balance out a cooler toned look with some warmer shades to start. I generally lean towards warmer tones more than cooler tones. Not always, but I definitely have been more recently. So when I started this video today, in fact, the last few times I have started videos, I have to fight this compulsion to apologize for my hair. My hair, particularly today, I did spend the morning watching, my son had a baseball tournament this morning, and it was freezing outside. It actually lightly snowed on us a little bit. It was windy, so I had a beanie on all day, which is why my curls are like really frizzy and flat, and I just did not have time to really address them tonight, so. This is typically what I look like at the end of the day. A little bit disheveled. Okay, I'm loving this shade right now. I just added a little bit more to this side because I think I went in a little bit light with my first dip. Not knowing what to expect. They are nice and pigmented. I'm gonna take the back end of this Persona brush. Same shade. I wanna build that up on the lower lash line. I love this shade. It's kind of warm in tone, but it also is not like orangey in tone. It's almost a little bit rosy. So I saw this palette on their website. I know it's a little bit newer, but I was going back and forth between getting this one or the original Warrior palette. You guys, I still don't have the Warrior palette from Juvia's Place, which as a self-proclaimed fan of the Juvia's Place eyeshadows, I feel like that's kind of blasphemous that I don't own that palette because I know it's one of their most popular. But I thought I'd try something on the newer side instead. I'm really enjoying this. I'm gonna go back to my sponge. I have a clean corner right here. I feel like I went a little bit far with that shade on the lower lash line. I just wanna tap that out. I also used a concealer today that I haven't used for a while, the CoverGirl concealer. I don't know if it's because I put it on my skin later in the day after my skin was already a little bit dry. I probably should have added some moisturizer, but it doesn't look very good underneath my eyes. They look very like patchy. I don't remember that concealer giving me trouble like that, so I'm gonna have to play with that again with some freshly washed and moisturized skin, because for right now, it was not looking very pretty. Okay, the shadows though, these are looking amazing. I'm really excited about at least this first shade, so let's move on. I wanna start adding a bit of depth before we move on to the shimmers. Let's go to this shade right here, the darker warm brown at the bottom. I'm gonna take that same Persona brush, just barely tap the tip into that shade, and start at just the outer corner. I'm just barely touching my eyelid, just kind of swirling this on there. Pretty, ooh. Okay, same shade. I'm gonna take the other end of the brush, this smudge side, dip the tip of this brush in there, And we're gonna just kind of smudge this along the lash line and then smudge a little bit of what's left underneath this outer corner of the lower lash line. Just build up some depth right there and shape out the outer corner. Okay, I want to go up to this shade right here. It's kind of a caramely, it's like a deep caramel color. I feel like I want to build up a little bit more depth, but go in a little bit further. I want a lighter shade to do that with. So we're going to take this kind of just inside where I put that last shade. I normally would have put this color on first. Okay, so far I'm loving this, you guys. Let's move on to some shimmers. Let's go to this shimmer here in the corner, the kind of duochrome that I was talking about. I'm hoping that this color is not going to clash with the warmer tones going on in my outer corner. This is mostly going to go on the outer half of my lid. Start kind of right here in the center. This shade kind of reminds me of like a duochrome version of Woodwinked by MAC, which I love that shade. I never use it anymore because I have so many eyeshadow palettes. I just don't reach for my really old stuff anymore, but that was one of the most iconic bronzes for so long. And this is gorgeous. You guys see how it has almost that green, kind of like cool greenish tone to it, but it's still warm, so it doesn't look off with these shades on top. It's also nice and reflective, which I love. The formula is great. Definitely better than some of the formulas I had issues with in the Nubian Earth palette. Okay guys, I'm wildly impressed so far. Let's go to this shimmer right here, the kind of silvery champagne. Again, just with my finger, I'm just gonna pop this on the inner part of the lid. Ooh, wow, look at that, guys. Beautiful. I love that. I would probably stop there, but I really wanna try out one of these really dark browns right here. So I'm going to take my Sydney Grace small kind of smudge brush right here and do a little bit of lining. Let's go with this one. It looks slightly more warm in tone than this one does. Really nice and dark though. I love a good bronze palette. And so far I am wildly impressed with the quality of these. And back to that Persona brush, the back side of it, I'm just gonna take this right along that matte shade we just put down. Wiping it off every couple of strokes just to keep it nice and clean. I'm just blending this edge right here. All right, you guys. Wow, I am so happy with this palette so far. Just take the back end of my sponge. Let's go around this edge right here. Actually, one more thing. Let's go over to this matte ivory shade right here. Let's try and add a little bit of this to my brow bone. I almost never do this. I just forget to do this. It's not really, I have such a large brow bone. I don't feel like it needs to be highlighted, but I know a lot of people do this, and I'm curious to see what this matte shade looks like. It seems to be really nice and pigmented. Kind of reminds me of, do you guys remember Brulee by Wet n Wild? Kind of reminds me of Brulee. All right, eyeshadow is finished. I'm gonna add a couple coats of my Essence Lash Princess mascara. I'm also gonna throw on a set of these corner lashes. I talked about these recently. I tried out a couple different varieties of this lash brand from Amazon recently. These ones I haven't actually tried out yet. They look like they may or may not work for me, but I'm gonna give these a try. So I will throw these on as well. Then I'll come back and show you guys the finished look and we'll share some final thoughts and we will be all done. And here we have it, guys. This is the finished look. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things. First, let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. This was not really meant to be the star of this video. I think that it might be the star of this video. I love this eyeshadow look and all of the shades that I swatched and played with. Very impressed with this. If you are into your browns and bronzy tones, I just think this is stunning. I cannot wait to keep playing with this. I am really excited about this palette, even though I wasn't necessarily expecting to be. Have to say, I think so far, based on what I've tried over the last 7 days, I mean, I just tried this out, but if I had to pick between one of these, if I had to buy one and not the other, I'd probably go with this one. I, of course, will keep playing with the other shades and keep you guys posted. Have you guys tried this one out? I haven't heard very much about it, but so far, I mean, look at this look. Perfect bronze look. As for the e.l.f. Halo Glows, okay, first off, I think I'm gonna need a little bit more time with these, particularly the contour and the blush. I actually really like the highlighter. I'm kind of surprised by that because normally it's the highlighters in this formulation or this packaging situation that I don't typically gravitate towards, but I really love how this looks on the skin. The color's really nice, which again, I was not sure that it would be the right shade for me, but it's definitely light enough on me. It's very pretty, very natural looking, but definitely there and pretty intense. The contour, I wish I would have gone with the other shade. It's not necessarily that I don't think this works for me. It's just not the type of contour shade that I typically use. So I have a feeling I will keep playing with this just to get to know it a little bit better. But my guess is after I test this out, I probably won't reach for it very much because I just don't use shades like this very often. And as for the blush, I really like the formulation of this. I was nervous about the shimmer quality to it. I don't think that shimmer shows up in a bad way on this skin. I just don't know that I love this shade, at least not for the spring and the summertime. It definitely looks more like a wintertime shade to me, or kind of a fall tone shade. It is a little bit kind of rusty, I guess you could say. I kind of wish I would have gone with just more of a traditional standard pink, but I do think it's pretty. The cheeks look really nice. I will definitely keep playing with them, let you know if my thoughts change on anything, let you know if any breakouts appear or anything like that, but so far so good. I did mention these lashes, you guys, so these lashes are really hard to apply. Now, I've talked a lot about the e.l.f. lashes lately. I'm sorry, I know I just got done going over this in my last video, but I love how easy these are to apply. Even though these are only half sets, they are harder to apply. And I think it's because the band is so thick compared to the e.l.f. ones. They are very cheap. This particular set, which is C25, they're very, very curly, almost to the point where you put them on and they're like curled back into your eyelid. I don't know. They're not very comfortable either. So I don't hate them. If you're looking for a cheap set of lashes and you like something a little bit more on the short side, not too intense or long, these might be my favorite set that I've tried out so far as how they look on my eyes, but they are not as comfortable as the e.l.f. ones that I have been raving about. So maybe I should have just splurged for that set and gone with what I knew instead of trying something new. So that's pretty much it. What did you guys think? Have you guys tried out the Halo Glow wands from e.l.f? Have they caught your attention? Have you tried out different shades that worked really well for you? Let me know down in the comments below, because some of them I would be interested in maybe trying out another shade of each of these. Hope that you guys are doing well. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me give you one final reminder. Please subscribe before you leave, and I will see all of you very soon in my next video. Bye.